Being sick at home with the flu over the last week gave me plenty of time to think about a few things, you know, the meaning of life, that kind of shit, but it also gave me a lot of time to play some video games. In particular, I got my hands on Payday 2. Payday 2 is the sequel to Payday the Heist, a robbery simulator where you play as one of 4 party members, carrying out high-risk assignments in banks, jewelry stores, and various other locations. Developed by Overkill Software, it's been released for Microsoft Windows, as well as PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Much like Payday 1, there's a heavy emphasis on teamwork and time management. Most heists require you to case an area beforehand, taking note of security cameras and personnel before donning your mask and carrying out the job itself.
Let's get it over with.
Hit the display cases.
Though going through the front door guns blazing is also a viable tactic. There's no focus whatsoever on actually killing cops. I mean, you don't get any points for them, so the real emphasis is on getting in, getting the job done, and getting the hell out. Completing heists earns you cash and experience, which can be used for buying new weapons or skills and leveling up your character. After a certain amount of XP, you reach a new level and obtain a skill point. Skills themselves are broken up into 4 specialized talent trees. Certain skills are borderline useless and become redundant the higher your level becomes, but no skill points are ever truly wasted, as it's necessary to spend points on these lower skills to unlock some of the more truly useful benefits. If you are going to try Payday 2, let me just suggest you pick a tree and stick with it. A lot has also been done to improve the overall aesthetics from Payday 1, and Payday 2 looks and sounds amazing. The weapons themselves have been intricately modelled, and gunshots have real impact, whilst animations across the board are absolutely superb. There's a really cool filter used with the visuals, giving it a gritty feel, and to top it all off, it has a badass soundtrack that amps up at all the right moments. There's no complaints here in terms of how this game performs in these departments. Yet I think with certain other areas, they've tried to improve them, though inadvertently made things worse. The server selection now functions within something called crime.net, which is displayed like a GPS map of sorts where you choose jobs across the city. But I would have really preferred a more traditional server selection, you know, something more akin to what you get in games like Counter-Strike, as it can often be a little tricky finding a specific heist you might be after. And often servers stop responding or are just filled up as quickly as they appear. This can be really tricky too when you're trying to invite friends into a match. On top of that, when you finally get in a lobby, the only way for a map to begin is when the host allows it to. What this means is that quite often you can be sitting in the lobby waiting until they're ready, whilst the other 3 team members just patiently twiddle their thumbs. Payday 2 is also a game that is largely going to be defined more by the people you play with than the game itself, if that makes sense. As the game is primarily a multiplayer experience, you're going to be interacting with complete strangers the majority of the time. Whether or not these people know what the hell they're doing is going to have a profound effect on each heist. For instance, I've had games where things have been so well organised that it seems almost scripted. I'm talking something like, you know, one guy covering the street while the other 3 rush across it to the getaway van, holding bags full of loot. But then on the flip side, it's not uncommon to join a game full of absolute fucking retards, where players are completely scattered across the map, for example, and then become totally agitated and shocked when they get killed and receive no backup. I mean, it's not too hard of a game, but a lot of the tougher enemies require concentrated fire to put down, and if the other players aren't assisting, then things can get real hairy real quick. Also consider that when a mission is failed, you get no experience or cash whatsoever, making the last 10 or 15 minutes literally a waste of time. Also, the way that you acquire new masks and weapon mods just flat out sucks. At the end of each match is a card selection which is completely randomized, and you have a chance of getting either a new mask, a new weapon mod, or just cash itself. So if you're after a particular type of mod or mask, this can be an extremely tedious process. It's great in the way that it increases the longevity of the game overall, but it just sucks in the way that if you're after a particular item, it's going to take lots and lots of grinding until you probably see it. As it stands at the moment, Payday 2 will probably provide a few good hours of entertainment, and if nothing else, it's a great way to let off some steam, if you just want to hop onto a server to knock off a jewelry store every now and then. Once you reach level 40, you've got access to all the skills and weapons on offer, and have probably had a good 10 or so hours of game time, leaving very little left to see or do. There's supposed to be more heists and DLC being released in the coming months to increase the longevity of the game, which is a nice touch. It's pretty cheap considering the amount of content on offer, so it's probably worth checking out if shooting lots of cops and stealing millions of dollars is your kind of thing.